The following may contain language that is not suitable for all audiences. It's time for the Low Fact Podcast. Why are you trying to do weird things with those bells?
To make the reverb sound cool.
So I was thinking about this because we talk about this stuff kind of a lot. And
kind of a lot or a lot?
Yeah, exactly. You know, the feminine or effeminate philosophies, depending on how you want to say it.
Is it the same thing or different?
Well, I think it's the same thing, but depending on your parent, it's the same thing. And the only difference is the point of view.
Okay.
But that thing that you were talking about a while ago about the feel-good philosophy, the I'm trying to do right. And
you think that's a feminine philosophy?
I think the emotional-based stuff is a feminine.
So you would call the Harry Potter philosophy a feminine philosophy?
Well, in as much as it's emotional-based, I mean, when people sit there and talk about how I'm compassionate, so I must be a liberal or a Democrat or whatever, right?
Uh-huh.
That to me, that line of thinking is just kind of weird. But the whole idea of being emotionally driven, emotionally led in life, and to live your life that way, I think is a total feminine way of thinking, or a totally a feminine philosophy. And if a guy does it, then it would be an effeminate philosophy.
Effeminate.
Yes.
So if it's a woman, it's feminine. If it's a guy, it's effeminate.
But there are some things I think even if a woman does, I would call it effeminate because that would be because I'm changing for myself. I'm changing the definition of what effeminate means.
Doesn't effeminate mean like a woman?
Yeah. So if a guy does it, but I also like effeminate being unnatural.
Okay.
I've actually started taking to using that term for the unnatural.
I wonder if it's in my dictionary that I lent that word effeminate.
Effeminate just means that
is it a new word or an old word?
It's an old word, and it means unnatural in that a guy acts like a woman.
Okay.
That's what it's used for. But I'm thinking about using that in place of unnatural, as I am apt to do. Just make my own definitions and have everyone look at me like I'm strange.
Yeah, you just like sometimes I think you don't even look up the definition.
Yeah, I just like the word. Yeah, I
used to kind of intuit.
I used to use the word behoove wrong.
It would behoove you to listen to me?
Right.
Isn't that correct?
Yes, that is correct, but I would use it for the opposite.
Like what?
It would behoove you to play with fire. And people would look at me like I was Don King.
It kind of sounds right, though.
Exactly, right? But going back to the feminine philosophies, I don't think that an emotion-based philosophy of life works well, especially in the macro. And that's another thing that I've been thinking about.
In the macro, I always get macro, and
well, it's like it sounds. Microscope.
Macro, the large.
Right. Micro, the small.
Okay.
Why
can't they have a word that doesn't sound like micro?
Micro brain.
Being the opposite. Like why? Like macro sounds too much like micro.
No, it doesn't. No one's ever going to accuse you of having a macro penis.
You don't know.
Okay, I really don't. I'm glad not to know. But it seems that there are two different rules: one for the very large, the macro, and one for the individual or the micro. And it seems that way. I don't know why it's that way, but I just started thinking about that with Einstein's theory of general relativity, how it works for celestial bodies, the very large, but when you get down to subatomic particles, just everything's like doesn't work. Nothing works.
Huh. And how does that relate to feminine or feminine?
Well, It relates because on an individual level, treating people with compassion is what you want to do. Being emotionally based, being empathetic, being compassionate, treating people as individuals.
Okay.
Definitely stuff that you want to do, but on a macro level, you can't treat a country like that.
Okay. Okay. Yep.
That it
I get
starts it starts to break down. Whereas you can treat one person with compassion, you can't treat a million people trying to come across
Right.
a border
Okay.
with compassion.
Yeah, that doesn't work. And a lot of people try to do that. They try to say...
Well, I don't think that they try to do that. They just say, this works, do what I say, which is another... if you just listen to me, you might think that I hate women, and I really don't. But I think that there's been a little too much validation given to overcome past transgressions or perceived past transgressions.
You're such a misogynist, Dave.
I am to a certain extent. I do think that women are a little bit overvalidated.
Now, you can't say those things anymore.
That's okay. They think that I'm useless too. So it's not like I'm picking on anybody, and I'm not in any position of power. So it's not like what I say is going to go.
This is true.
But I find it. And this is my own personal observation that I've told you before, and I might have said it out loud here. I just don't understand how I have to treat you better and lie to you and say, no, I'm treating you the same. I mean, and I don't know why you'd want that.
Well, that's the dirty little secret.
Well, I don't know if it's a dirty little secret or not. I just don't get that. I don't get that whole play, right? Would you want me to treat you better, but tell you I'm treating you the same?
No.
Well, dude, if yes, that's fine too.
No, I don't think so. Because then, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make any sense. And why would somebody want that?
There are people that do, right? I mean, if you live in fantasy land.
So they don't believe that they believe that they are being treated the same then?
I don't know. But when you see stuff, I'm just like, well, it doesn't seem like it's the same. And yet, crying out for the same. And I'm sitting there going, but you're not. Actually, you're being treated better. No.
Oh, yes, I've had this debate before.
No one's ever.
No, I had this debate about, in the context of equality, where I said at what point, I was like, if the pendulum has swung to the point where women are getting treated better, getting paid better, and getting more benefits than men, at that point, do you say, well, we need to be doing stuff for men? And my friend was like, oh, come on, that's ridiculous.
Because it's not better?
Oh, I think in her mind, she doesn't ever believe that there'll be a situation or a situation where women have more advantages than men.
But that should be the question, right? Is it better?
Is it better?
Right. Shouldn't that be the question? Is it better? Do women have it better than men?
Well, the answer to that would be no. Never.
But
men have more advantages.
But there are more women in college.
Yeah.
Women make more money.
Uh-huh.
Than most men.
But this is the thing. This is what I was saying to her, and she was like, that's crazy.
But that's my whole point. That kind of going back, I'll tie that into the emotional philosophies of living, right?
Yeah.
You know why people are attracted to communism?
No.
It's emotional.
How is communism emotional?
It's emotional.
How?
We're going to make things better for everybody.
Yeah, but the philosophy is weird.
That doesn't matter. It's all emotional, right? If you say how's it not better is the number of people in college, should that be considered a benchmark or a measure? And if a person says yes, and say, well, there's more women in college than men,
right?
Should we dial it back to where it's equal?
No, because there's been all this inequality.
But that's not the question.
It's
right?
just making things equal.
But that's not the point. The point is, I feel good about what's going on, right? you have to continue to let me feel good about it. Don't bring pesky shit like facts into this equation, because then you're trying to keep me from feeling good about it. So when you talk to people about the historical bad things that communist regimes have brought in, they always look at you. You know, the people that believe in them, that if you're talking to them, they always look at you like you're a weirdo.
Right.
And that's the thing with women, right? If someone says women, you know, what was it, the 70 cents on the dollar thing, which has kind of been
debunked.
Well, not debunked, but there's a counter argument saying it's more like 98 cents.
Wow.
It doesn't matter, right? If you believe in it, you believe in it. You're like, now, someone that I know, someone that I trust has told me this, and this is the way it is. But in reality is, I like this number. So, you know, this makes me feel good. So this is what I'm going to go with. And that was a thing that I had against the news, the media. It's not about, it seems to be not about presenting facts. It's more about presenting information in such a way that makes the audience feel good. And, you know, I can tell that I'm not the audience for most media outlets.
But
because I never feel good.
Was it always like that, though?
I don't know. But, you know, it has been ever since I kind of decided that this wasn't the way to go. You know, when my disbelief in the media, you know, happened in 2008, I was just like, ugh.
What event?
I told you before. It was the campaign, the Barack Obama candidacy.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember watching that with you, and we both just couldn't believe.
Well, I couldn't believe. I believe that he won. I just couldn't believe that he won based on his policies.
Okay.
Because I couldn't for the life of me believe why anyone would go for those policies. But plenty of people did. I
mean, he rose pretty quick though, too, right? I mean, he wasn't in politics that long.
Well, that was part of what Tom Daschle thought his appeal was.
And there's all sorts of conspiracy theories about him and stuff, which I don't really buy into. But let me just say that Twitter is like out of control.
Well, Twitter is probably going to go away.
Maybe.
Dude, if Donald Trump is no longer the president, what are they going to do?
Yeah, you mean what are people going to talk about on Twitter?
What is Twitter going to do?
What do you mean?
He's not going to be. Who's going to be? Is he going to be using his Twitter?
No. Well, he might keep on using it.
Why? Twitter is just to communicate with the people.
Right.
It was his communication tool because the media wasn't going to say anything.
But they've been editing his stuff anyway.
They've been editing a lot of stuff
lately. A lot of. I don't know. I think it's mostly on the right. But I don't know.
I don't know why you're sitting there talking about right and left. It's one team. That the only thing that I can say for sure is that, you know, I don't know whose team Donald Trump is on. He might totally be a populist. He might not. I personally don't care. But the World Wrestling Federation that is politics, I don't see why anyone sits there and believes what's going on and, you know, or plays along with it. Actually, I do. You know, if I had more at stake here in the system, I'd be playing along with it too. Well, hell, I've got virtually nothing invested in the system, and I'm still talking about this bullshit.
That's true.
You know, you say that a lot when you have nothing to say.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
It certainly is. Well, anyway, it's probably holiday week, so.
Oh yeah, I hope everybody had a good turkey dinner.
Oh, we're well into Christmas. We're into Christmas week now.
Oh, we are. Oh shit, yeah. No, you're right. Christmas is coming.
Dun dun dun.
Christmas or the holidays or whatever you celebrate. Kwanzaa.
You ruined a perfectly good ending.
Sorry.
Say it again. Christmas is coming. Dun dun dun.